All right, so Tim, it's been a little bit since we talked, but obviously there's been a holiday, there's been a lot more going on. But I'm curious, what have you been up to, and really, what's been going on in the world of Tim?
Yeah, well, Ben and I just finished a great trip. We were out in Asia for about 3 weeks. We had three clients we saw out there and won all of the cases that we went out there for. So it was awesome. I love going out to Asia. We do a lot of trips to Asia. Every time I say I'm not going to do another case in Asia, I take on something else in Asia. Literally about 50-60% of the cases we have at the law firm are either out of Okinawa, mainland Japan, or Korea. So we find ourselves going out there 5, 6, 7 times a year. So it's been a pretty routine trip. Now, for this case in particular, we flew out there to do a court martial for a army accused out at Camp Humphreys, Korea. That was a case I thought never should have been to a court martial to begin with. It was kind of a nonsense, he said, she said, sexual assault case where the DNA really proved our client didn't commit the offense. So we brought our DNA expert out. He's phenomenal. The government brought their DNA examiners out, and we had the entire trial team out at Camp Humphreys, Korea. And it was the day before trial. So this was a Monday before trial where we did a motions hearings on Monday. That the trial was going to start up Tuesday. So we had done all the prep work. Everything was done. And literally the day before, the government withdrew and dismissed all the charges against our client the day before trial. So the notion that, off-ramps can be found at any stage of a court martial. And sometimes the best off-ramps are found at the courthouse steps. In this particular case, we were able to interview the government's DNA examiner multiple times. Our DNA examiner was there. I think once the government fundamentally understood that the DNA evidence in this case was going to exonerate our client and show that she didn't commit the offense, I think that was game over for them. And also, we were able to conduct an interview of the alleged victim the day prior to trial. And that doesn't often happen. In order to interview an alleged victim or a named victim, you have to get permission to do that from their attorneys because he or she is represented by counsel as well. In this particular case, we had a pretty squared away victim's legal counsel who gave us the opportunity to interview the alleged victim. That was a very lengthy interview that we did really the day before trial, so we didn't have any access to. In this case, it was him prior to. And that meeting was so illuminating because it was really helpful to understand from that individual's perspective, at least what they thought the case was about. And it really opened up a lot of eyes on the government side. And we married this individual's story versus the facts of the case, and most importantly, what you overlay the DNA evidence, which was exonerating. The government ended up withdrawing and dismissing all of the charges in the case. I think this would have been a full acquittal. I think the government realized it would have been a full acquittal. I think the moment the DNA examiners testified, and this was a he said, she said case where two individuals were where they basically got a hotel room together and were going to go out hiking. They came back and the allegation was that these two single beds were pushed together. It was a male on male case. And in this case, our client allegedly sexually assaulted this other guy in the hotel room. And he just kind of laid there and did nothing, using fight, or freeze nonsense, whatever that was. In that case, there was DNA evidence that was collected. And if you're going to be in a position where you are sexually assaulted by someone else, or you're in the same bed as someone else, and someone else is spooning you, or putting their arms around you, or all over you, or if they have sexual intercourse with you, which was alleged, DNA is going to transfer. I mean, transference of DNA is pretty easy to do. It can transfer from one object to another, or from your hands to another. You're going to expect DNA. But when the DNA went back to the lab, they tested extensively, and there was no DNA from our client whatsoever. I mean, zero DNA, which proved pretty conclusively that this didn't happen. Because if it did happen the way the alleged victim said it would, we'd expect to see DNA. And I think once all of that got ferreted out, the charges were withdrawn and dismissed literally the afternoon before we were going to pick a jury, which is kind of phenomenal. It doesn't happen very often, but that's what happened in this case. So that was a big win for us. Unfortunately, we had to fly to Korea for that, and for our clients' benefit, it would have been nice if these charges were dismissed 6 months ago. But sometimes you have to go the distance and let the prosecution know that we're here, we have our team here, we're ready to go, and we're going to try this case. And if you continue with it, you're going to lose. And that was really the message that was sent. So that was a win. It was a great win for our client, for us, and it was a win without even having to go to trial. So the notion of you always have to go to trial to win is not always the case. In this case was a great example of how you don't always have to go to trial to win. But on the other hand, you have to be prepared to go to trial. And the moment the prosecution thinks you're not ready to go to trial, or thinks that you're going to be someone they can run roughshod over, you're going to lose. So that was, again, we flew out to Korea, brought the team, we're ready to go, and we won without even having to go to court. So that was fun. If you're one of these scenarios where the government's accused you of something very serious and it could cost you your future, your freedom, or your career, you need someone who's been there and done that. Give me a call. I've been doing this for 20 years, and I've been to trial over 500 times with a track record that I'll put up against anyone. If you want to take it to the next level, get on my calendar, let's do a call, and let's go win your case.